Alright, so we've got another Nintendo Switch eShop sale to cover today, and I figured we'd do a bonus deals video since I'm away at Gamescom this week. Now what I've done is I've pulled together 10 great picks, all under $10 or your regional equivalent, and as always, I've got pricing here covering the US, Canada, UK, Europe and Australia. Then, tomorrow kicks off the start of Gamescom, so do keep an eye on the channel. I'm not sure exactly what content I'll have up straight away, but I'll definitely be dropping plenty of shorts from the show floor, hopefully things like Elden Ring or some of the smaller indies I can get hands on with, or at least that is the plan, the master plan, if I can get through the queues. Alright, do me a favour then as well, if you do enjoy this, consider subscribing, it helps out a smaller channel like mine a huge amount, and yeah, now let's get into it. Celeste is 75% off, matching the low price, and I figured we'd start with one of the most celebrated indies on the Switch. Now released back in 2018, it's a precision platformer that on the surface is about climbing a mountain, but really it's about self-doubt, perseverance and mental health struggles. The story, beautifully told through its characters, and it elevates what could have been just a tough platformer into something genuinely meaningful. Now gameplay wise, it's flawless. The controls are razor sharp. Every room here feels meticulously designed, and the difficulty is pitched so that each success feels earned. And once you finish the main journey as well, there's still the B and C side stages that push the mechanics to their limits. And yeah, there's just hours of content in this one. Finally, the pixel art is gorgeous, the soundtrack unforgettable, and in my opinion, one of those rare games I'd call essential. It's an absolute masterpiece. Warworld is 60% off, matching the low price, and this one is dangerously addictive. You pilot a giant spider mech, crawling across an endless vertical wall, drilling into caverns to mine resources, uncover secrets, and defend yourself from hostile creatures. Now runs, they start off slowly as you gather upgrades, but soon you're unlocking new weapons, speed boosts, and gadgets that change how each attempt plays. Now it is structured as a roguelite, so the loop is all about getting a little further, building up strength, seeing what's hidden, but it is incredible. That balance between exploration, resource management, and combat, it's just incredibly satisfying. And yeah, it's perfect for handout sessions as well. See, I'd say with this one, it doesn't reinvent the genre, but its core loop is so strong, it kept me coming back for just, one more try. The Survivalists is 90% off, matching the low price, and this one takes survival gaming and makes it more approachable. Now it's from the creators of The Escapists, and it drops you on a deserted island where you'll need to forage, build and craft to survive. The tone is definitely lighter than most survival sims. It has this colourful, cutesy vibe, and it definitely doesn't punish you with things like permadeath. It makes it really great actually for co-op with friends. What sets it apart though is things like the monkey companion system. You can train these little helpers to chop wood, gather food, even fight alongside you. It adds a dash of strategy to how you build your settlement. Then on top of this, there's dungeon crawling, there's a loose endgame as well, and there's actually some really smart crafting systems. Now I will admit, its frequent raids that tear through your village get incredibly frustrating, but still look, for this price, it's an easy recommendation, especially again if you want a survival game that's fun rather than stressful. ITTA is 85% off, matching the low price, and this is one of those hidden gems that never quite got the recognition it deserved. Now, it opens with kind of this like gut punch. You wake up as a young girl surrounded by your murdered family with only the family cat, now a ghost, as your guide. Dark stuff. From there though, it becomes a bullet hell boss rush adventure where every fight is brutal and demanding, but also, I'll say this, very fair. The pixel art then is gorgeous with a muted kind of dreamlike palette. It really fits that bleak story, and the soundtrack I really do appreciate. It's kind of this haunting ambient fare. Now gameplay then is simple on the surface. You can dodge, shoot, reload, but the variety of enemy patterns and arenas keeps it really tense. It is a short game then, but it sticks with you thanks to its emotional weight. It's kind of going for that Celeste vibe, I guess, but for me, one of the more underappreciated indies on the eShop. Mega Man X Legacy Collection then is 60% off, matching the low price, and this is a must for fans of Capcom's classic series. It covers the X era, so it added faster action, wall jumping, dashing, more aggressive boss designs. And here you're getting the first 4 entries, each with its own unique flavour, plus extras like a museum mode and challenge stages. Now, the story setup isn't the star here, this is pure action platforming, but I will say the tone is darker than the original series, with X and Zero facing off against an ever-escalating army. Now, gameplay-wise, these remain some of the most finely tuned side-scrollers ever made. Tight controls, tough but fair gameplay, and iconic bosses that force you to learn patterns. Now, I do think Capcom needs to finally bring the series back. It's about time, a brand new entry, yes please. But as a package, this one, fantastic. Haven is 70% off a new low price, and this comes from the Game Bakers, the same team that gave us Fury, where that was all intensity and precision boss fights. Haven is the opposite, softer, slower, and more narrative driven. You play as 2 lovers on the run, hiding out on a fractured alien planet, and the story kind of focuses on their relationship as much as the kind of soft, let's say, survival element. The presentation, though, is stunning. Beautiful art direction, a great electronic soundtrack, and then the hover system, the movement. It lets you glide across the landscapes. It makes exploration so much fun. Combat then is light RPG with timing-based commands, and while it won't test you much at all, definitely fits that relaxed pace. On Switch 1, I will say there are some performance wobbles, but I think it's perfectly playable, and I really enjoyed my time with this one. It's very different for the studio, but in a really good way. Bear and Breakfast is 55% off a new low price, and this is my pickup of the week, meaning it's not a recommendation, rather maybe you'll want to join me for the ride. I've been wanting to play this for a while now, but it's basically a management sim where you play as a bear running a bed and breakfast, which is, definitely an entertaining premise. But the focus here is on building, decorating, and keeping your guests happy with this kind of relaxed, cozy pace that makes it perfect for handheld play. The art style is colourful, very charming from what I've seen. And yeah, there's a surprising amount of depth apparently as you expand and upgrade your business. I've had this one on the wish list personally for a while, and I do think at this price, I couldn't resist finally checking it out. Nobody Saves the World is 65% off, matching the low price, and this one comes from Drinkbox, the team behind Guacamelee. Now, their trademark humour and creativity are all over this game. You play as a literal nobody who finds a magical wand and suddenly has the ability to shapeshift into dozens of different forms, from a knight to a horse to even an egg. Each form, though, has its own skill tree, and you can mix and match abilities to create some really wild combinations. The story setup, though, is incredibly silly, I guess, best word. But yeah, the gameplay has surprising depth as you experiment with builds and tackle dungeons. My only real criticism with this one is that by the late game, with so many transformations and abilities and skill trees, it gets menu heavy. Still though, overall, it's stylish, it's funny, it's packed with content, it's got paid DLC if you want that too, and if you liked Guacamelee's tone, you're gonna feel right at home here. Darkwood is 75% off a new low price, and this is easily one of the scariest games I've played on the Switch. It is a top-down survival horror, but don't let the perspective fool you. This game nails atmosphere and tension like few others. And by day, you're scavenging the woods, you're looking for supplies, you're fortifying your hideout. By night, the creatures come, and you're left hunkering down. You're listening to the sounds outside, you're hoping your barricades hold. It's oppressive, it's unsettling, it's brilliantly designed to make you feel vulnerable. You can't see quite what's off screen. The art style then is grim and sketchy with lighting that keeps you constantly, on edge. And the sound design is just, incredible. Finally, I'd say this, it's not an easy game, but it's one of the most effective horror experiences out there. I really didn't think the top-down 2D kind of vibe would get me this much, but it really is one that works. BROK the InvestiGator is 50% off, matching the low price, and this one really took me by surprise. Now, it calls itself a punch-and-click adventure, and that sums it up perfectly. It's part classic point-and-click detective game, part side-scrolling brawler. Now, you play as BROK, a retired boxer turned private investigator in a cartoonish cyberpunk world full of animal characters. Now, the story, it mixes light-hearted moments with some surprisingly heavy themes, and the branching choices mean your decisions, they actually matter. And the gameplay then is of course split between solving puzzles, gathering clues, and beating down thugs in that classic kind of beat 'em up style. And it is such a fun combination. You wouldn't think it would work, but it actually it fits into place quite nicely. I also think it deserves credit as well. I didn't know this until I was looking at the eShop, but it's actually the first ever adventure game fully playable by blind or visually impaired players, which is incredible. I had no idea. I thought that was a really interesting fact about the game. But overall, look, one of the more unique indies on the system. They put a ton of effort into it as well over the years, and it is just well worth checking out. And that is the video down. What will you be adding to the library this week? Let me know in the comments. Then subscribe, helps out the channel a huge amount. And yeah, see you on the next video. Cheers all.